welcome back, Neil Delamare, and thank you very much for coming on the show. Welcome back to comedy.
Well, I like the way you say that, like you are the man who is entrusted with the welcoming back ceremony. Like, we're going to get a special ceremonial sword. There's going to be some sort of trumpets. You're going to knight me, Sir Jokey. I've laughed a lot. But yeah, it is good to be back.
I do feel partly responsible. I feel like a real sense of I need to welcome everyone back to comedy. Do you not feel that, like when you're meeting people? Welcome back. Isn't it great to be back?
Yeah, it is great to be back. I don't know if I've welcomed them back specifically. I haven't taken that responsibility on myself. You're a much more mature person than me, maybe. That's what it is. I'm just thinking about myself, whereas you're welcoming them back to the further world of comedy. It's been a strange time, hasn't it? It is great to be back, though. I have to say that. I missed it more than I thought it would.
So did I. I'm not welcoming everyone back, by the way. There's probably a few people I hope stay away, but I won't mention the names now. I'm not going to mention any names.
I know the names.
You know the names.
That sounds like you have your own velvet rope, and you just have a little clipboard going, "No, you're not welcome back.
Yeah,
you're not on the list. No, you're on a register, but you're not on a list."
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, exactly. We know the people. But yeah, we'll say no more.
Nope.
It was strange. It was strange to be away. I've kind of asked this a few times now, but is there anything you enjoyed about comedy? Obviously just disappeared overnight. And is there anything in the weeks or months afterwards that you enjoyed about not doing comedy?
Yeah. So when it happened at the start, March 2020, I've toured every year for years, and that brings its own kind of deadlines and stuff. So when we were made aware that, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which we look forward to in some ways, but it's also kind of
a dread.
Yeah, exactly. It's a trepidation. Yeah. And so once it became evident that wouldn't happen, and not only would it not happen, like none of us would do it, so you wouldn't lose any ground in terms of, building your audience because nobody was going, that kind of took pressure off. So for the first 2 or 3 months, I'd say first 2 or 3 months, I was kind of like, this is okay, actually. This is enforced time off. But then when it became evident that we had no idea how long it was going to last, how deep it was going to be, would we ever be allowed to do gigs again? I said to my missus, I think we could be 2 variants away from this job not existing anymore, because the vaccinations hadn't kind of happened yet, and we didn't know how serious certain elements of the pandemic were. So after about 3 months, I was a bit, oh God, what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
But I did enjoy that. I did enjoy that. And then after kind of 3 or 4 months, you got this pressure of, I better do something now. I better make the most of my pandemic. I read this article. Somebody wrote an article about Isaac Newton, apparently, when he was quarantining from the plague, came up with all the various laws that he's famous for, or many of them. And then this guy wrote an article saying, relax, you're not Isaac Newton.
Yeah.
Basically, it was the whole thing. Relax. You don't have to solve everything during this pandemic. It's enough to just get through. So I kind of took that to heart then as well.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose I was kind of in the middle of a show that I'd finished. So I felt like that deadline of Edinburgh was off me, because I did it a little bit differently this year. I had just returned from Australia, where I'd finished my hour over there. Yeah. And I was 2 or 3 weeks into touring it. So I did nothing for lockdown, really. I did nothing. And it was really nice to go and do nothing and have no comedy at all to write. I think it might have been different if I didn't have a finished show. I probably would have been tipping away and trying to do it. But my brain just wouldn't allow me to do it. It was like, no, you're not doing this. Put my phone away,
Yeah. Well, it was weird in some ways, because even if you did want to write stuff, you had 2 choices. You either write about experiences, which I know you do and I do to a certain extent, and you're like, well, we're not doing anything.
Exactly.
Because we're not going to go anywhere or see anybody or do anything.
Yeah.
So exactly. Like this my current show, like there's bits about television in this that I don't think would have been in other shows, because that's all you could do for a certain period of this. And then I think after about 3 or 4 months, I did start doing things. Like I certainly said yes to things, I think in 2021 that I may not have said yes to before, because like I did Fit as Families because I thought not so much the show and the charity and all the rest. Although I did want to do it for the Alzheimer's Society, some part of it was a selfish reason for me to go, well, I know I'll train for 2 months for that. And there's a little bit of structure back in your day, you know?
And potentially get material also.
Yeah, we might have to venture back into the world. And I was like, who's going to be on the show? And they said the Happy Pair. And I was like, the Happy Pair. If you can't get 5 minutes out of the Happy Pair.
You have to get 5 minutes out of the Happy Pair. Competing against the Happy Pair. But that's it though. I think even like you said, you're doing stuff that you thought you wouldn't do. I felt like me and you did some gigs. You were very kind and let me do. I've been doing loads of gigs for you, but during the pandemic, we did those gigs that were in car parks to 15 people. And in normal times, 4 years ago, like you wouldn't even reply to the email. You'd be like, you know what? That's insulting. I'm not going to a car park in Wexford or Cork, and I live in Cork for 15 people in the cold.
In December. That was the thing.
It was December.
We did one in Dundalk, and thank you very much to the Spirits there who allowed us to do it.
It was amazing.
You would have just gone ha 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 back to the email.
Of course.
Fuck off, basically. No, what you would have said. Whereas in December, you were like, well, hold on, we're allowed to do gigs. There's going to be government support to this, and people are going to sit in their coats it was Baltic as well. Do you remember we were waiting backstage in a kitchen showroom?
It was a kitchen showroom, to
go on,
and all the kitchens were freezing, so it was even colder outside.
We could see ovens, and we were still cold, which was really bad. And we were still glad to be there to exercise the comedy muscle. I was trying to explain that to people, going, what was 15 people like? And you're like, okay, well, if you stood up in a GAA dressing room and one of the subs came in, that is more people than we were allowed to talk to. At these gigs. But oddly, I don't know if your audience will know this, but you know this, and I know this. 15 people is more than doable if they decide that they're up for it. It's like Edinburgh shows where, you know, you could have a rammed room, you know, a little, say you were doing a room of 60 people, you could have 60 people in, and they all decide they don't like it.
And it's like, and it's really hard then. You'd easily take 15 people that are up for it, then a room full of people that aren't.
And you have to be up for it to sit in a car park in December with 14 other people. What used to annoy me is you know, the promoter would go, obviously we're going to put on 15 tickets, it's going to sell out immediately, and then a couple of people wouldn't turn up for whatever reason. Now they might have gotten COVID, but sometimes maybe they just didn't turn up, and you're like, lads, we're playing to 15 people. We need all 15 people.
We can't be losing people.
But we did some strange gigs, didn't we?
We did some strange gigs. I also felt with those gigs that if there was anyone at all not on board, it was so easy to tip the balance into it being a difficult gig. And percentages were that way. Like I remember we did some other gigs then. I opened for you in Kilkenny in this beautiful
hole in the ground,
which was incredible. And then for the first show, I've never seen it rain so much in my life. And the people just sat there in their ponchos on their jackets with sandwiches and tea, and like were probably one of the best audiences I played to for the whole thing. They were incredible.
Yeah, basically, do you want to do a quarry? Do you want to do a hole in the ground in Kilkenny that it is almost impossible to get to with public transport? And we're like, yes. Thank you very much. We need to make an exhibition of ourselves so much that we will say yes to this. We will turn up, and it hammered rain. Like there was a lad putting animals 2 by 2 into a wooden boat as they were setting up the mic.
We were doing the sound check
and the speakers. And we were told by the volunteers, oh no, they'll come and they'll have their ponchos and have their food. And we were like,
we were skeptical, definitely.
Yeah. You know the way you've been told things by people who run gigs before, and you go, and you're right. They were so prepared.
And they were great as well. They were such a good audience, because we were definitely expecting like half a show or something, weren't we? We were like, no one's going to come to this.
We did a late show and an early show, and it hammered for the early show. And I think, I don't know if you've noticed since we came back as well, that audiences themselves are mad up for it. In a way that suggests that they've missed it and are kind of no more than us grateful for what we're allowed to do now.
This is what I think. I think all of those gigs were brilliant because we had waited so long. And like you said, we didn't know whether it was coming back, but there was something there I think the audience felt it as well, that wasn't sure where this was going. And even though they were brilliant and they were great, the gigs were, they were class. But there's something happened when the announcements were made a couple of weeks ago on that Friday. And I was doing a gig in the Spirits, or actually my own show. And I felt a palpable energy in the room, a shift of, yes, we're out of this now. We're at a gig. People just seem to be giving you even more and really happy. Big, when you announce to the stage, there was a big applause, and hopefully that works for another while. Hopefully that stays with us.
Oh, I'd say it'll be gone by the weekend, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm waiting for it to go.
Irish people will be just like, nah, fuck this. This is awful.
Yeah. I mean, you always have a couple of horror stories. Some comedians don't. Some comedians never ever die and always smash it. But the ones that tell the truth always have a horror story or two. And although they're great to share, I'm not looking forward to it because I don't think I have the legs for it now. Whereas you're gigging 300 or 400 times a year, you have a couple and you go, whoa, that was rough. And you have a laugh with the other comedians in the car afterwards about it. And it's like, maybe those gigs are around the corner again, but I'm hoping we get a couple of weeks or months of this goodwill.
Colin Murphy used to say that about corporates, that he says every so often you do a corporate and you drive home from the corporate and you just have to stop the car. He used to stop the car and just go, like this, and just shudder about what has happened. And then you just get back into the car and then drive on. Yeah, any comedian who tells you that they haven't died horrendously is lying. What every gig you've ever done has been amazing.
Yeah, smashed it. I smashed it.
So every farmer, every cow he's ever looked after, every grain he's ever sowed has all been perfect as well.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. Yeah, there's a level of delusional needed, but it gets beyond. Because I've had those corporates as well where you're going, like Colin, stopping and they keep you awake and you're like, oh my God, it was just a rank gig. And you just do it initially for the money. And on a couple of occasions, whatever the money was, if you'd offered to me afterwards to give you back more than that money, to take the gig out of my brain, I would be like, yes, I'll give you back double. I'll go home down what I was meant to be coming here for tonight.
Do you think this year, though, because people obviously couldn't work last year, that we will all take corporate gigs, for example, that we wouldn't have touched in the years gone by, and we're looking at going, this is going to be horrible, but obviously last year was quiet.
Make up for last time. I think so, in a way. And also we had a little bit of battle hardening with those gigs in the car parks.
Yeah.
And I think that you're going, okay, these were kind of corporates, but not corporates. So they're gigs that we can kind of do. Like, I haven't done a whole lot of corporates, but most of them have been okay. Like
a gig in the car parks, it sounds like Fight Club. That's what it sounds like. Club, yeah. So basically, it is a normal gig. You and I are making it sound like we had to tell jokes to punters individually. They lined up in a line. They walked up to us. We hit them with a joke. They got the punches in the head, and then we had to do another joke to the next person after that.
No, they were lovely. They were just weird.
I know they were very strange. No, they were.
Yeah. But it's such because we had it not taken away for so long. It really makes you appreciate what we do for a living is comedy, and it's amazing to just be able to go and tell people.
Yeah, and you realized, oh, you're frozen there, Chris. I'm gonna wait for you to come back now.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
No, okay. Let's keep going, sure.
I'm guessing that they keep that, and I think that automatically saves anyway,
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, you were just stuck in a real frame of your tongue was like, and I was like, is he losing interest in me?
Is that how you knew an ex was losing interest in you? Just at the cinema, you look across and she's just sticking her tongue out. You're like, okay, it's time to go. Is
anyway.
This is a come on or the exact opposite?
Exactly.
Yeah. My next decision is fraught with danger.
Yeah. I know, because I was like telling, so I was kind of talking away, and then I looked up and you were frozen in that sort of position. I was like, all right, okay. I'm having a corporate version of a podcast.
What sort of heckle is this? Use your words, Neil. Apparently he's so out of touch during the pandemic and out of practice. He doesn't even have a witty bon mot. He doesn't slag you up. He just sticks his tongue out when he gets bored with you, like some sort of emperor.
12-year-old kind of. But no, I don't know where we were there, but I think I was talking about just appreciating being back, I suppose, And
and there's a strange thing about you realize. I mean, it's stuff you knew anyway, but you're relearning certain things, like a room where people are sitting cheek by jowl right beside each other. Yeah. And rammed is much easier to play than a room where the same number of people are spread out around the room. I mean, which we all knew from doing small gigs when we started, but it's funny the difference that makes, isn't it? It's just kind of reaffirmed what we all knew already about stand-up. It's a live experience. It's not Zoom.
And it's kind of it's kind of precious in a way. Like, it does take certain elements that you can put in, and it just doesn't work at all. Like,
Yeah.
I always find forcing comedy on people is like, like when you do gigs before and it's like, oh yeah, we've got a gig there in the pub, and oh no, it's just a gig. There's no fee. It's just for the locals. Here's a wireless mic. Just stand in the corner there. And I'm like, no.
Our only concession is we'll turn down the Champions League.
Exactly. No, they didn't even turn it off. I've genuinely been in those situations where there's been a match on and I was on in the other corner. And, that's a long time ago, from the very beginnings of my stand-up comedy career.
Yeah. And then suddenly you're back.
Suddenly you're kind of back. Yeah. So they didn't have the telly on in the car park. That was I
think certain people, I was talking to somebody in the UK, and certain people kind of got lucky in a way, in that if they were, okay, so some people had the kind of the anomaly and did a new project, like a radio show or a podcast or a sketch show or something like this, and they had a good lockdown. But then there was a few people who I was talking to in the UK who had just enough profile and had been on just enough things that they knew that when this was over, they could kind of take back up where they left off.
They could pick back up, yeah.
Yeah. So some of how badly people were affected, like anything, is about where they were on the kind of comedy fraternity, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Like if you had something in development at a script stage, and it wasn't filming yet or anything like that, well, then you could kind of, to a certain extent, go away and try and
you could work on it.
Work on that, yeah. Whereas some people, draft. Some people just kind of got shafted with the live work or whatever, Like, I'm delighted to see that you're doing your Vicar Street and your Everymans again, because just before lockdown happened, you were the kind of one I was like, God, he's got very unlucky.
Yeah, it did kind of feel that way at that time, and I was like, oh God, I was really looking forward to those shows, and I didn't expect everything to go though. I remember going at the time, early March, it was kind of going around that anything over 500 indoors is being cancelled. So I was literally just expecting those two shows to be postponed.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't expect everything to be cancelled for as long as it was. But I am definitely now coming back into comedy, even doing this. This is something different for me. So like you, I'm going to try a few different things.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just try and like enjoy my comedy again and, do it for all the right reasons. And like you also did Dancing with the Stars, which you probably wouldn't have done if you...
Not in a million years, yeah. Well, not necessarily in a million years. I have been asked to do it before.
Yeah.
Shall we say it's been broached and you've been down the line with it going, well, maybe, and I always kind of went, nah, it's too terrifying. It's scary. It's, I don't know if I could fit it in with the touring schedule. Although I remember talking about years ago whether I would do it or not, and then finding out afterwards from Des said to me, Des Bishop said to me, oh no, you can do it and you can tour. But one way or the other, I was like, no, it's not for me. And then we had to chat again this year, and I was like, I think COVID had a huge part to play, because I suddenly went, well, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do in January or February, but more importantly, like you said, like, why not do something?
Yeah.
Like like when we are all human beings are thrust into a situation where everything has changed almost overnight, over a course of a few months, and there's no certainties anymore. You kind of go, do you know something? Why not just do something that scares the BJ's out of you? Let's say that.
Yes.
And my wife said to me, she goes, I think you might be okay at this. I think you might be better at this than you think you'll be. And I think you'll really enjoy it. So I said, fair enough. Okay. You're a wise woman. And I did it. And I have to say, I think comics who know me would be surprised that I would do it.
Yeah.
I think you were surprised.
Yeah.
I think most people were surprised. But I have to say, we had the best time in it. Yeah. I absolutely loved it. Des said to me again, he said, you will love it as well, you know?
Yeah, and you were amazing. And I've never watched the show before you were on it. And my kids were watching it and they were fans. And you shouldn't have gone either.
Well, listen, it's the vagaries of the Irish voting system. And it's one of those situations where, you know, it's a small population and, you know, you have lobby groups and blah, 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 blah. But you know all that when you go into it anyway. So all you can do is go in, have the best fun, wear the ridiculous outfits, whatever they say to you. Will you wear this? You go, yeah, within reason. And just kind of embrace it. So I would have liked to have done 2 more dances was my thing. I wanted to do a tango, because in my head, Scent of a Woman is dancing.
Yeah.
Where he does a tango on that. And my parents used to jive. So I would have liked to have learned how to jive.
Oh, wow, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Which would have been cool. But I have to say, if anybody ever gets a chance to do this,
do it.
Because
what's mad is, like you were saying there, I've never seen you afraid, or not afraid, or nervous of anything.
Yeah.
Any gig ever, you're just the most relaxed. Like before you walk on, you're just like, there you go. Like there's nothing. Yeah. Especially in the beginning, I was like, what? But you were a bit nervous before this, which I'd never seen before. Like you were just telling me you were feeling a bit nervous, and I was like, that's weird.
Very nervous, not a bit nervous, very nervous. Bricking it, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to calm myself down enough to do this? And that was on the kind of Thursday. So, and then Friday you go into the studio and you see it all, and then you calm down a little bit, but I was still quite nervous. And then Saturday, early in the morning, I went in and I had to go to somebody's wedding on Saturday. So I went in, did a rehearsal, and that was a bit more, okay, I'm getting used to the space now. I was getting slightly less nervous, but I was genuinely trying to figure out how the hell I was going to calm it down. And like again, you said to me, my missus said to me, because what is this? I said, I'm nervous. She's like, I've never seen you nervous. Why are your hands cold? I said, because I'm nervous. That's why. And then so you get a dress rehearsal at kind of 4:00 before you go live at 6:00. And so everything is as it would be on the show. And like you're in the gear, and suddenly you do something in the gear, and you know, you put your hand up and it comes off your shoulder, and you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? This is something else to think about. And they're like, relax, still, and they sew you into things. It's kind of bizarre. And you know, you're that people don't know this. Here's a little Chris's podcast
inside
exclusive. Basically all those shirts, if you raise your hands above your head, normally a shirt will come out of your trousers.
Pull out your trousers, yeah.
So basically, all of them are kind of sewed under you, like an undercarriage.
Oh, really? Things. Like a baby's vest, the like buttons on it.
Like a half a onesie. Basically, that's exactly what it is. But just before I did it, and I was opening the whole series, the whole show.
Yeah.
Standing there at 4:00 for my dress rehearsal, and they went dancing the Paso Doble, Neil Delamare, Kelly Vincent. And the music didn't start, and you're just standing there going, "Oh my God, am I having some sort of conniption here? Can anybody else hear the music? What's going on?" I'm standing there for 10 seconds, and then the music kicked in. But all these little things, you're like, "Oh, what am I going to do? It's going to throw you." And a weird little thing happens, and I don't know if it happened to the other contestants, because you're a comic.
Yeah.
At 6:00, when there's an audience in the room, even 100 people or 80 people or whatever it was, something clicks with us that we go, showtime.
Perform.
Showtime, perform. Yeah. Fall over by all means, but just give it socks.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was it. Just gave it socks and went for it. It was a bit weird the first night because we got 17 out of
Yeah, it was a high score.
out of the 3 judges. Yeah, but we didn't know if 17 was high. So you were
Yeah.
like, okay, that's a 5 there, it's a 7 there. And then that turned out to be good, pretty good. So the relief that you get, people would say to me, oh, what do you think of the judges' comments? We did week 4. I have no idea what any judges said to me at any point. Absolutely no idea.
Just like another body kind of outer body experience.
Yeah. You're sitting there going, grand, say whatever you want.
Yeah, that's the way I feel you're doing your first. When you get into comedy, you have a couple of experiences like that, and it's just adrenaline that's getting you through it.
Yeah.
And that's probably why you were nervous, because you've been doing comedy for so long and gotten so good at it that it's like you don't even really have to do much. You know, obviously it takes a bit of craft and a bit of writing and all that, but because I went back to work during the pandemic and I was never ever that nervous in my life. My first day working onto a building site after 12 years, even though I had done it before, I was like, oh my God.
Have they changed electricity?
Have they changed it? Have they messed around with the electricity? I don't think so. I mean, it's been going pretty well for them, but you never know.
But you never know. 12 years is a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be a slave for that long and they'd make a film.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. 12. Yeah, that's what someone said that to me today. I was like, I haven't been doing this for 12 years. And like 12 years a slave. And I was like, well, I'm maybe not a slave. I don't know. But
it's strange. I think you're right on that. I think it's what great radio people do and what great comics do. I always thought is if you get very used to it. I remember listening to somebody. I think Pat Kenny's an excellent current affairs broadcaster, I have to say. And I remember listening to him and realizing that he's doing 2 or 3 things at once. So he is listening to the person he's talking to. He's thinking of his next question. He's also listening to them to see if they say something that is salient enough for him to go off track and ask them a question about what they've just said. But he's also floating above it all and looking at their answer and going, this is a bit long-winded. I need to move to a next section. So he's actually doing 3 or 4 things at once. And I think comics are the same. So you were on stage and you are doing a bit. So you know what's in your head. You know what the next bit is, but you're also looking at the gig. When you get used to doing comedy, you're looking at the gig from above almost, going, oh, they didn't like that bit. But I think they liked the earlier bit where I was kind of a bit more physical. I'll switch stuff around. And so you're doing 3 things at once. Whereas with the dancing, you were going, I'm just doing the dancing.
Yeah, true.
Like, so when you're even when you're learning it at the start, you're learning a dance and you know, she goes to you, okay, this is the footwork. And you go, okay, I've got the footwork. And then she goes, okay, this is the arm work. And you go, okay, this is the arm work. Fine. And then she goes, okay, I'm going to dance with you. And then that throws you entirely. You're like, I don't care what together. I don't care what you do over there. Let me just do it here. Yeah. So, but I think that when you do stand up, and that's what you build up over years, is that you are able to separate yourself from it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I'm just glad that the goalposts are in the same place now they were before we stopped stand up, because they moved so much. And to be fair, like the industry itself just moved to accommodate it so much. And I don't think I took it as hard the first time around as I did for lockdown 3 or whatever there just before Christmas, when I heard those announcements, and because I really felt like things were back before that, and I got my hopes up, and that was the difference. Yeah, every other time I hadn't got my hopes up. But I mean, there was even this one gig where I did with yourself in Mayo. I was meant to do the gig in Mayo in Westport, and it was like you were so like moving your shows to 6 o'clock and going half capacity, and it was like, what? But I would still be glad to do them. Me too. I think we did. No, we did. Where did we do in Tipperary? Thurles. Yeah, Thurles. Yeah. And then Westport and Mayo, I had my mother's 60th, which was literally me, my mother, my brother, his partner, the kids, my wife, just a meal. The next day, I got into the car in Cork and left my gaff at 12 o'clock and drove to Westport to gig with yourself. And when I got to Westport, my wife got onto me, Neve, and she said, your mother was onto me there and she has a positive antigen test. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. This is like, I was kind of laughing at it in a way, but I was like, okay, well, I can't go in and potentially give it to you and knock you out of Dancing with Stars, or give it to anyone there. I did an antigen test, but weren't comfortable. So I had to get back into my car. And obviously, you know, I told you, I didn't just drive away. But you had to act on your feet there and do a gig with no one, but no support. But I drove all the way home, and I was like, I wasn't even really bothered by it. I was like, you know, I drove all the way home, and it was lashing rain. And the next day, my boot of my car was full of water. Like, I mean, properly exhibit found out I liked swimming pools and went, we put a pool in your boot. And I was like, wow, everything was floating around my boot. And I was like, I drained it all, and the rubber had come off. But it was just like, you know, that seems so long ago now. That was such a pain. Number one, it was all the rescheduling. Number two, it was just like so unexpected when I got there. It was like my mother had a positive antigen and everything was fine. And I never even ended up having it. But it was just all these things in the way. And now it feels like it's just come around so quickly. It feels almost like that stuff didn't even happen.
It's weird, you know? Because, I mean, that circumstance, we were both like trying to look up what the advice was to do. And what this whole pandemic has told me is reminding me something. When I used to do, we did this particular science show once, right? And the director, the producer would say to the director and the cameraman, they would put me in these bizarre positions. So they you know, I would do a bobsled with the German youth bobsled team, or I did a centrifuge, you know, the people used to train fighter pilots and all the rest.
Mad.
And all this, and we went in a zero gravity jet and all this sort of stuff. And she always used to say, the producer used to say, get his first reaction. No matter what you have to do, get his first reaction. And she used to say that is because your second reaction wouldn't quite be as good. And by your third reaction, you're getting used to stuff.
Yeah.
And I always thought that struck in my head. And I think that's exactly what this pandemic has showed us. We get used to anything. I remember in March 2020, looking at Northern Italy in particular, closing and going, can you imagine them trying to close Ireland? We go absolutely mad. People on the streets, there's no way we do this. And once it was explained to us that we're all in this pandemic that had to be controlled, and these are in fairness, they got the message out properly.
They did. Ireland did really well, I think.
We did what we were asked to do. And then when it opened up, we did what we were asked to do again. And then when it closed down, we did what we were asked to do again. So that's the weird thing. You get used to absolutely anything.
Yeah.
And that's why you got used to that. You're like, oh, okay, right, this is another thing that we just have to cope with. But it does hit you. I thought you're right about the second one or the third one. It hits you where you go, oh, we have a bit of hope now. We have the vaccination. We've been told that we'll be okay. And then kind of Omicron happened. And we're like, oh my God. So it's the hope that kills you. It just shows you that one, we're adaptable, and two, that public messaging is so important, to just try and manage your expectations, you know?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And then coming around totally full circle, last week, you did the SSE Arena in Belfast.
With you,
which I opened for, which I was very grateful for, and it was absolutely
good,
incredible.
Wasn't it?
It was so incredible. It was just like it felt like I was properly had adrenaline for a couple of days after that. I had a little bit of a buzz after that gig for a couple of days.
Yeah,
because going from, I mean, I suppose like not too far off the space of a year, really. You're going from a car park with 15 people to an arena with however thousands and thousands of people, and it's just like
thousands of people,
incredible. And it was just like wow, it was a serious. How did it feel for you?
I thought it was brilliant. I noticed, I said to the people afterwards, I said I thought Chris enjoyed that, because you wouldn't be the most demonstrative man in the world, I think it's fair enough to say, but you were kind of wandering around with this sort of dazed, glazed, delighted with yourself head, because it was a brilliant opening, I have to say. And everybody said to me who was there, I think I would have appreciated doing the arena at any point, but I think after the year that we've just had, I think, you know, it's kind of strange how quickly it all opened again as well. I know.
And
the reason, and I said this to you at the time, the reason I put it on was specifically to have something to look forward to.
I remember.
Because
Yeah, I remember you texted me about it, and it was like it was in the middle of one
it's a
of the
year ago.
lockdowns. Yeah, and it was like, wow, absolutely, I will. And then just kind of forgot about it for a long time because the way things were.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's because it is different to playing 1,000 seats even, or
Yeah.
2,000 seats. You wait for the laugh to come around.
Mm.
You saw that it's a different sort of technique.
It's absolutely different. Yeah.
To doing that. Like
Again, there was the whole learning thing as you go up, and even just how loud my voice was. I found even adapting to that. Obviously it needs to travel very far, but you never hear that much of yourself, in a gig. But it was amazing. And
you can sit into certain things as well, because actually you're on a massive screen. And you forget you're on a massive screen. You go, a little facial expression there, and I'm getting a longer out of that laugh because they can all see exactly what I'm doing. So it's nice to think that even after however many years doing this, if you do something new, you have something to learn. Like that's the joyous thing about this, is that if you think that your last show is the best show you've ever written, you'll never do it again.
No.
You always hope that your next one is the best thing you'll ever do.
The challenge is the next one, making the next one way better.
The day you're driving around, right, and you think of something funny in the car and you don't get excited about telling an audience that, just give up.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and on that point, are you're coming to Cork?
Yes, I'm doing the Cork Opera House.
Amazing.
We had to switch it because, well, there was a pandemic. I don't know.
It's a pandemic. Yeah.
So we're doing the 28th of April.
Yeah,
so
I'll be there.
Come along. Christopher Krent is opening up. He is royalty in Cork.
Oh, I'm opening up. It's going to be a brilliant show, and we've definitely learned how to spell reschedule. Anyway, I was struggling with that at the beginning of the pandemic, but now I've got it down now.
My first gigs I rescheduled from March 2020 to April 2020.
Yeah.
That was how little I knew about the pandemic. This will be grand. 3 weeks.
I rescheduled mine to I remember I scheduled my Vicar Street to June or July or something. And I remember talking to Christine going, oh, do you think it's kind of annoying because it's in the summer and it's clashing with lots of festivals now? And it's also I don't know about the summer. And little did I know, 2 years, my current show is called Christy Doesn't Live Here. And it's been so long in the making. I actually live here now. I live back in Ireland, touring the show that I was meant to be doing back then. But I'm loving it, and I'm loving being back, and it's great even to be having these chats again. So do go check out Neil and myself in the Opera House. That will be fantastic fun. And thanks very much for coming on, Neil.
Anytime, an absolute pleasure, Chris.
Cheers, buddy.